About 1964 in kindergarten, I realized that I had a very serious stuttering problem. And up till that point, I didn't really realize it because I had a very loving mom and dad and sister who made me feel normal. But once I started kindergarten, I began to realize that I wasn't like all the other kids and that I had the hardest time saying the simplest of words. I couldn't even say the word "the" without going into a 2-minute stuttering attack. Stuttering is such a complex situation because there's so much that's unknown about it, but what is known today is that in many cases, such as my own, that they believe that it was body chemistry issues in your brain. And so although I tried so hard to go to speech therapy and say the right words, I was fighting this situation that was happening in my brain. But when I tried to communicate and say anything, it became an opportunity for others to ridicule, make fun of you, and put you down. And I learned to not even try to speak at one point, to just be very quiet. So for me, having to deal with this was challenging, but I was very blessed because in kindergarten, I met a guy who ended up living only 3 houses away from me, around the corner. His name was David Olson. And David Olson became my best friend in kindergarten. And Dave treated me normal. Dave never tried to put words in my mouth. He always would listen to me and made me feel one of the gang. And Dave and I continued to be close friends all the way through junior high. Because of that, of Dave and I hanging out, I started going to a local church when I was in junior high. And although I had become a Christian a few years before through the hard work of my mom, there's still a hole in my life in the fact that I didn't feel really accepted except in a very small pocket of friends. Definitely didn't feel accepted by adults. And one day, the church that I was going to had a very small group, about 10 kids. This young guy from San Diego comes rolling in, long hair, slippers on, and starts sharing Jesus. And he became our first youth pastor. And this guy had such a big impact on me because not only did I see Jesus for the first time, but I saw somebody who took me, a stutterer, that a lot of people would just not give any time to, and made me feel normal and loved and a part of the group. As a stutter, this young youth pastor would ask me to give announcements to this group. And at a young age, this guy saw my heart. He saw beyond the words that I couldn't say, and he saw what Jesus sees in us. And I'm grateful for that because what happened was that was the moment that I started to get involved in youth ministry. And I started to stammer my way through, slowly got better. It was a heck of a lot of work, but this guy never corrected me. I'd say an announcement, it might take me 3 minutes to say, we're going to the beach, but he'd let me do it. And from that came to me doing more and more, running with them, sharing my faith with these kids, and it opened an entire door for me in youth ministry. But I'm grateful that God allowed me to, I look at this as a blessing because I would not be the person I am today. People, some of you who are watching this know me just from being around this church on Kauai. But my friends are blown away because for the last 40 years I've been working with kids and I'm a teacher. I teach middle school science. When I give this story to the teachers I work with, they have no clue that I couldn't say a word, hardly say a word, up until I was probably 12 or 13 years old. So I give God the credit. The challenge for me now is not to speak too much. And I've learned from the stuttering that God has taught me that sometimes it's good to be quiet. It's good to be still. And one of the hard things about being able to speak now, and you may go, wow, great. The bad thing is that sometimes you say things you don't want to say. You say things that are hurtful, and you say things that you wish you would have thought through. When I stuttered, I thought through every word. So not a day goes by that even though I don't stutter anymore, I pray that I'll have a stutterer's mindset, that I will think carefully about what I say, that I will speak in love. So I thank God for where He's taken me. Oh, by the way, that youth pastor was your pastor, Rick Bunchu, and has had a lifelong impact on my life, my friends' lives, and thousands and thousands of kids all over the world.